Have you ever woken up feeling like your brain is wrapped in a gray fog? You're standing by the bed, staring at the floor, and can't remember why you got up in the first place. Where did you put your glasses? What were you about to say? Why is it suddenly hard to string two simple sentences together? This isn't just morning grogginess. It's not just, I slept poorly, or I got up on the wrong side of the bed. If you're over 65, every morning either works for you or against you. Because the first 30 minutes after waking up either strengthen your brain or begin to destroy it. And this is no exaggeration. Modern neurological studies show morning habits directly affect the pace of cognitive decline. And the scariest part? Many of these habits seem harmless, so routine, in fact, that we don't even notice how they become traps. You might be thinking, well, that happens. It's normal at my age. Now listen to this story. Martha, 71 years old, a retired school teacher, a beloved grandmother, the life of the party. It all started when she once left the stove on. Then, she forgot why she went to the store. A few months later, she got lost in her own neighborhood. Then, forgotten words. A blank stare. And 6 months later, an official diagnosis. Dementia. Now Martha lives in a private care facility for seniors with cognitive disorders. Every morning, her daughter visits. And every time, the same questions. Who are you? Why are you crying? Do I know you? Martha no longer remembers her name, but it didn't have to be this way. There were signs. There were mistakes. And there was a point when things could have been turned around. That's why we're here. This video isn't just a list of tips. It's a warning. A last chance to stop you from going down a road you can't return from. We're not here to sugarcoat anything. We're not going to soften the blow, because life is too short to waste it on denial. The first morning mistake is one of the most deceptive, because you don't even think it's a mistake. You wake up and immediately reach for your phone. News feeds, messages, social media, random videos, politics, accidents, statistics. All of it dumps into your still sleepy brain like a cold shower to the face. But instead of waking you up, it overwhelms you. What's happening in that moment? Your brain, overnight, enters recovery mode. In the morning, it's vulnerable, sensitive. It needs to re-enter the world gradually. But you don't give it a second. Instead, you blast it with an information bomb. Neurons respond with stress. Microinflammation occurs. And when this happens day after day, it leads to chronic fatigue that destroys the brain areas responsible for memory and attention. In medical terms, this is called cognitive burnout. In plain terms, it's the road to dementia. Want a simple tip? 10 minutes of silence. Yes, just 10. No need to meditate. No mantras. Just sit on your bed. Breathe. Look out the window. Let your brain wake up without stress. This isn't spirituality. This is neuroprotection, a practice neurologists around the world recommend. Here's the bottom line. If you don't change your habits, dementia won't ask permission. It won't knock. It'll just come in, quietly, slowly, and you won't even notice you're losing yourself. Tomorrow morning, you'll have a choice. Reach for your phone or reach for your life. The decision is yours. Most of the time when we bring up dementia, older people sigh and say, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just living like I always have. And that's the core problem. Because, like always, is exactly what kills you. Slowly, silently, without warning. Let's look at another harmless habit that almost everyone does. You wake up and don't drink a single sip of water. Instead, you head straight to the kitchen, maybe turn on the TV, maybe even pour yourself a cup of coffee. Then wonder why by lunchtime your head is spinning, it's hard to focus, and your brain feels like it's shutting down. Here's what you need to know. Your brain is already dehydrated the moment you wake up. You haven't had any water for 7 to 9 hours while sleeping. During that time, your body loses moisture through breathing, sweating, and metabolism. Especially in older age, when your thirst receptors become less sensitive. You may not feel thirsty, but your brain is already suffering, quietly. Recent research from Harvard Medical School shows just 2% dehydration, and cognitive function drops by 17 to 20%. That means your memory worsens, your focus declines, the risk of disorientation increases. And most importantly, this sets in motion a steady pattern of brain degeneration. In other words, you didn't just forget where your glasses are, you're literally pushing your brain toward destruction. George's story. 76 years old. He was an energetic and active retiree. Every morning, a strong cup of coffee right after waking. Water? Why, if I'm not thirsty, he used to say. A year later, sudden memory lapses. He started repeating the same phrases, forgot the route to the pharmacy he went to weekly. 2 years later, he couldn't name his grandchildren. He'd sit by the window and go silent. His daughter said, "He's here with us, but at the same time, he's already far away." This happens every day, to thousands of people, and no one thinks the cause is something so simple. You can't afford to ignore your brain's basic needs. 1 glass of water, 7 to 10 ounces, right after waking. No sugar, no additives, warm or room temperature. This isn't just a healthy habit. This is neuroprotection. This is what can delay cognitive decline by years. Too simple to be true? That's exactly what people think, until they start to lose themselves, when they can't remember their spouse's name, when they confuse morning with night, when they're afraid to close their eyes because next time they may not remember where they woke up. Don't be one of them. You're already at risk. Even if you're 66, even if you feel fine, your memory isn't something you can get back, but you can protect it. And it starts with the little things, with what you do tomorrow morning, with that 1 glass of water that just might save your mind. Absolutely. Here's the full English translation of parts 3 and 4 of the text, adapted for an American audience. You wake up, sit on the edge of the bed, yawn, stand up, and almost without thinking, head to the kitchen. Everything feels normal. Toast, a little jam, cereal with milk, or a sweet granola bar on the go. What's so bad about that, you might ask? I've had breakfast like this my whole life. And that's where one of the most dangerous illusions lies. Because this kind of breakfast is a slow but steady path to brain decline. You don't notice it right away, but the process begins at that very moment. You eat sugar, your blood glucose spikes, your body responds with an insulin surge to bring levels back to normal, and your brain takes an immediate hit. Blood sugar spikes trigger oxidative stress, damage neurons, and reduce brain plasticity. And the worst part, this damage is irreversible. Brain scans of older adults who regularly started their day with carbs and sugar show the same result: a decrease in the size of the hippocampus, the key brain region responsible for memory and spatial orientation. This is one of the earliest biomarkers of dementia. What starts with toast ends in oblivion, and you won't feel it right away. It will happen slowly. First, you'll forget to turn off the kettle. Then, you won't remember if you called your daughter. Then, you'll start getting lost in your own home. And after that, it may be too late. Take John, for example. 69 years old. He'd always been strong, smart, and well-organized. But for him, mornings always began with cookies, sweet coffee, and cereal. He used to say, "It's my ritual. I can't function without it." 2 years later, he was in the neurology ward. He now sits by a window, repeating the same phrase every hour. What did I just say? When you lose your ability to remember, you lose yourself. You lose your voice, your memories, your relationships. And it all could start with a piece of toast and jam. What can you do? Cut out fast carbs in the morning, urgently. Say no to sugar, sweet cereals, jams, and white bread. Instead, fuel your brain with protein and healthy fats. Eggs, boiled or cooked without oil. Plain Greek yogurt. A handful of nuts. Cottage cheese, a small piece of fish or avocado. This isn't about healthy eating for a diet. This is eating to preserve your identity. It's the kind of breakfast that gives your mind a fighting chance to stay sharp. Don't kid yourself. The way you ate at 40 might kill you at 70. Your body has changed. Your metabolism has changed. Your brain is vulnerable. You can't afford to eat out of habit. The price is just too high. You have a choice. A comforting habit. Or a breakfast that could save your mind. As always, the choice begins tomorrow morning, but its consequences might stay with you for the rest of your life. We've reached the final and most deceptive morning mistake. It's especially dangerous because it looks like you're doing the right thing. You wake up, and instead of giving yourself time, you dive right into tasks. Clean the house, check your bills, call the neighbor back, open the closet, sort through drawers, boil water, remember your meds, wipe down the counter, all at once. A full-speed sprint. You think, I'm fine, I'm active, I'm in control. But inside your brain, there's no control. There's chaos. An aging brain isn't built for a sudden launch. It can't handle the morning overload. And instead of feeling energized, you get a sharp spike in cortisol, the stress hormone, fluctuating blood pressure, an elevated heart rate, anxiety disguised as tension. Chronic stress right after waking is the fastest way to destroy your brain's prefrontal cortex. And here's the catch. This is the very part of the brain responsible for your personality, decision-making, and sense of self. Damage it, and you begin to fade from within. Not physically, mentally. You become irritable, forgetful, withdrawn. You stop recognizing loved ones, lose track of time, get lost in conversations. Not because something is wrong with you, but because you never gave your brain a fair chance to wake up. The stories of people like this are the most painful. They're not in accidents, not in nursing homes, not hooked up to IVs. They're right there, sitting in a chair, looking out the window. Their body is present, but their mind is somewhere far away. Because someone once told them, you have to stay active in the morning. What should you do instead? The first 30 minutes after waking should be a gentle start mode. Light stretching, deep breathing, soft lighting, silence. No phone calls, no TV, no news. You don't need to solve everything right away. Morning isn't a productivity contest. It's a battle for your brain. A gentle start isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's mindfulness. These aren't trendy tips. This is real neurophysiology. This is a tool that can extend your mental clarity for years. Understand this. Every morning is a choice. You're either protecting yourself or breaking yourself down. You're either building your defenses or destroying your foundation. Your brain isn't invincible. And in older age, it doesn't get second chances. It can be your greatest ally. It can protect you from loneliness, fear, and suffering, but only if you let it function at its own pace. Tomorrow morning, it all starts again. Just one question remains. Will you race out the gate again? Or finally let yourself begin the day the right way?